What if you could actually heal yourself with the power of the sun, but without ever stepping outside? It sounds a little out there, right? Well, today we're diving into a blueprint for a device that claims to do just that, the Solar Healing Chamber. Seriously, it's this wild idea that mashes up astrophysics with personal wellness, and it is absolutely fascinating.
So let's just start with that big central question. What if we could somehow tap into the fundamental energies of our solar system? That constant, invisible river of particles flowing from the sun. And what if we could use it to support our own biology? Now, I know, it sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but the concept is actually grounded in the very real physics of our planet's relationship with its star.
And the answer to that what-if question is this concept right here, the Solar Healing Chamber. The whole idea is to create this special healing environment. It's designed to use the energy from those solar particles, what we call the solar wind, and something called photonic echoes, which are kind of like lingering light particles, to create a field that our bodies can interact with. Okay, before we get into the nuts and bolts of how you'd build one of these things, we've got to understand the fundamental idea that makes it all possible in the first place. And that is this deep, resonant connection between us and our planet. This is where we get into the really cool science of bioresonance.
So here's the key. Our bodies, at their core, are rhythmic, electric systems. I mean, just think about it for a second. Your heartbeat, your brain waves, all of it is governed by these tiny, constant electrical pulses. Well, it turns out the Earth has its own electromagnetic rhythm, this constant pulse that's driven by its interaction with the sun.
And that pulse, it has a name, and it even has a number. It's called the Schumann resonance, and its fundamental frequency is 7.83 hertz. You can literally think of this as the planet's natural ambient heartbeat, a constant, low-level hum of electromagnetic energy that's always circling the globe.
And this is where it gets really interesting. On the left, you've got Earth's heartbeat at 7.83 hertz, and on the right, our very own alpha brainwaves. The ones that are active when we're in a calm, meditative state, they operate right between 8 and 12 hertz. The overlap there is just incredible. This is the whole basis for a concept called resonant coupling, the idea that our bodies might be naturally tuned to our planet's frequency, kind of like two tuning forks vibrating together in perfect harmony.
So what's the whole point of all this? Well, the ultimate goal is to achieve something called bioelectromagnetic entrainment. It's a mouthful, I know. But think of it like tuning an old-school radio. The chamber is designed to help your body tune back into the Earth's natural frequency. And in theory, that could lead to some amazing benefits, like a more balanced nervous system, better sleep, and maybe even reduce stress and inflammation.
All right, so the why is pretty clear. We want to tap into our planet's natural rhythm for our own well-being. But the big question is, how on earth do you actually build a device to do that? Well, the engineers behind this concept have actually come up with 3 distinct pathways.
So, these are the 3 main approaches. The first one, quantum resonance, is probably the most subtle. The third one, the atmospheric light echo approach, is the most spectacular. But for our purposes, we're going to focus on the one right in the middle, electromagnetic engineering. Why? Because it gives us the clearest and most tangible blueprint for what a working prototype could actually look like.
The big challenge for this electromagnetic pathway is this. How do you take the raw, kind of chaotic energy of the sun and turn it into something that can safely interact with the human body? Well, the solution they proposed is to convert it into these really gentle, low-frequency magnetic fields that can then stimulate our body's own bioelectric system without being invasive. So how would the hardware actually work? Think of it like a 3-part system. First, you have the solar collector array. This acts like the senses of the device, detecting the energy from solar particles. Next, you have the field translator, which is the brain of the operation, converting all that raw data into a usable magnetic signal. And finally, you have the applicator coils. These are like the hands, delivering that gentle, modulated magnetic field to the body. Now, I know this all sounds incredibly futuristic, right? But what's really amazing is that you could, in theory, build a prototype of this device using components that are surprisingly easy to get your hands on. So, let's take a look at how it would all come together. Okay, get this. The brain of a working prototype could be a simple Raspberry Pi. One of those tiny little computers you can buy online for less than $100. It would pull real-time solar wind data directly from a NASA API and then tell a PEMF coil driver, that's a pulsed electromagnetic field driver, exactly what kind of magnetic pulse to generate. And the best part, you could control the entire session from an app on your phone. And here's how the chamber itself would be built, almost like an onion from the outside in.
You'd have a non-metallic outer shell. Inside that, you have the control layer, with the microcontroller doing all the thinking. Then there's a power layer to amplify the signal. And right at the very core, you'd have the therapeutic layer, featuring what are called dual Helmholtz coils. These are a special type of coil designed to create a perfectly uniform magnetic field, which is exactly what you'd want for this kind of therapy.
So we've gone from this huge cosmic theory all the way down to a hardware prototype. But that brings us right back to the big questions. I mean, is this something that could actually change the way we think about our own health? And maybe, even more importantly, is it actually safe?
Look, safety is obviously a huge concern here, and the design takes that very, very seriously. The frequencies used are all non-ionizing. That just means they don't have enough energy to damage your cells, not like an X-ray would. The magnetic field is also designed to be very weak, and it's what's called a passive field. This is key. It just creates an environment around your body. It doesn't actually send any electricity through you.
The source material really sums it up perfectly. The device is imagined as a biocoherence translator, a bridge between the vast, powerful dynamics of our solar system and the subtle, intricate workings of our own human biology. I mean, think about that. It's not just a machine, it's a way of connecting with the cosmos on a really fundamental level.
And you know, that really leaves us with one final thought. Is something like this the next frontier in wellness? Or is it just a really beautiful, elegant piece of science fiction? The answer might be written somewhere in the stars, but for now, it's really up to us to decide what we believe is possible.